Hello, good afternoon. I'm Heda and I live in Bangkok. I'm I've been an OFW for 22 years. I am a single mom and I have two kids. They're 15 and 11. I want to talk about why we must awaken nationalism. And this is coming from the inspiration has always come from when Duterte ran for president. And I think we can all resonate with that idea because, his platform was all about, nationalism. Now, how do we do this? Well, one, I think, I think we should start by maybe not not sending out or not recording videos that attack our government unfairly, and also not going out into the international media with information that is only covering some untruths about only one side of the story. So that's one. But right, let's be serious. The first thing that I think we should do in order to awaken nationalism, and why we must awaken nationalism, is because we have always been taught, and I don't know if this is still happening in our schools in the Philippines, but the first thing that I learned in school about our history was that we came from Negritos. Now, although that is only one side of our heritage, that is not all there is to it, because there is also text that talks about who the Spaniards, what kind of people the Spaniards saw when they first landed on the Philippines. And it is now a known fact that during the Spanish time, they practically tried to erase our history pre-Spanish because they wanted just to kind of program us, according to what or who they wanted us to be. And so in order to draw from the real history of the Filipinos, we need to go back pre-Spanish time. And we know for a fact, but we don't know into what we don't know what details, or we don't know in details. That the fact that we came from Indonesia and Malaysia. There is such a thing as a Sriviraya Empire, if I'm not mistaken, and so we came from those. So we actually have more in common with the Indonesians and the Malaysians. So we need to kind of stop talking or referring to ourselves as half Spanish, 1/4 Portuguese, 1/3 Chinese, 1/4 Japanese, because we are Filipinos and we need to learn to accept and to have our own identity that is not half of something. And so I think it is very important that we talk to our children about this, and that although the school is teaching them something that might be similar to what the older generation have had, but perhaps we can add more information into that and then go back pre-Spanish time. Now, one of the things that I really got inspired about when I was reading about this was this quote. I read a quote from somewhere. I forgot where it was from. But it was from a Spanish ambassador. It was a Spanish government official. And he wrote something describing the Filipinos when he first landed in the Philippines. And this is what he said. This is not verbatim. This is not word for word, but this is the summary. This is the gist of what he said. The Filipinos were, or at that time are, a cultured people. They spoke many languages. They were trading with many different countries and areas around the islands. They were elegant and they were gentle. So that's how we were pictured as. And, you know, I don't know if this is still true, but, okay, what I saw from our history books was this picture of a very tall, white Spanish soldier meeting a very dark, very black, short negrito with just a G-string on. And to me, that depicted some kind of hierarchy. And okay, when our children see that, so it seems like, oh, so I'm kind of inferior or subordinate, okay, to everyone else who's white. Is that what we're saying? And so I think we need to kind of change that, and still not totally eradicate that part, because okay, that is also still part and parcel of who we are. Okay, but also get into other stories or infuse other stories into our children's minds, that that's not all we are. And here's also the thing that another thing that I have come across, because of the nature of our archipelago, we are islands. And so there is also text that refers, this is still pre-Spanish, there's text that refers to the fact that our people were warrior kings and queens. And that's because of the nature of our islands. We always had to fight against those who try to take our land and our territories. And so maybe that is where all this, all this passion about fighting for something comes from. Because we always had to fight, okay, for our own territories, for our families. And I believe that, okay, can be channeled into a very positive thing. So that is why we need to awaken nationalism. That's number one. Because, okay, we need to be telling our children that there is something else, okay, beyond our inferiority, our insecurities. We were a great people. We were a great civilization pre-Spanish time. We need to look back into that and draw from that, not whatever we were described as after the Spanish time, because that's not the true sense of who the Filipino is. That's why the Filipinos in Thailand yesterday were so inspired by what Duterte was doing. And it also shows us, and it gives us an example of who we need to be cozying up to. We don't need to go and look at across the world and try to emulate Americans. We are not, okay, little brown Americans. We have so many things in common with our ASEAN brothers and sisters. And so this is where, this region is where we need to be forming relationships with, forging ties. And then, but, okay, still, do not, okay, mistake my talk on this one. Duterte also spoke of the fact that because we had a pact, we had an agreement with the Americans, we are going to continue with the military ties with them. That he was very clear about that. But then he said, okay, about economic ties, about forging our relationships so that we can get some of our products into other countries. We also need to talk to our Asian brothers. I think my mom is watching. Hi, Mom. Okay, number 2. One other thing that we need to be looking into is, if there are people who are so focused on business and they fear, I know that during the campaign time there was some expression of fear among our business people. I don't know where that is coming from. And then maybe some of them felt that, okay, Duterte is a rogue politician, a rogue person, and they don't, because he is very unpredictable, as he should be, I think, because that has, I feel, that has found him, that has allowed him to effect or impact, positive changes when he was mayor of Davao. And I feel that, he should be allowed to do the same thing. He should be free to be the same person that he was, because he was able to effect, good results there. So anyway, going back to business. If you live in Thailand, you've been working in Thailand, perhaps this is the reason why we in Thailand really feel so passionate about the Duterte platform for our government. And it is because we see what kind of positive things can be done in the Philippines, because we have seen it being done in Thailand, and because we have seen it, how nationalism in this country affects the people, the lives of individual people, the lives of small and medium scale businesses, as well as those businesses that are looking into opening up more markets in the international arena. They have that. And before, in the past, if you don't know about this, during the Marcos time, Thailand and the Philippines were actually known as sister countries or twin countries, because we have very similar geography. Apart from our storms and typhoons, we even look the same. We even look similar. So there are so many things that we can learn from Thailand that we could probably use in our country. And so, why awaken nationalism? Let me tell you this story. I don't know. I haven't asked Percy. Hi, Percy. If I could use this story, but I would. But I'm just not going to name some. I'm not going to specify certain things. But here's the thing. There was one time when tourism was down in one place, in one specific area in Thailand. And upon seeing that it was affecting the local people, because there were not many tourists, so the small scale businesses like the street food vendors, for example, were not making money. And so that place, was suffering. From what I've heard, that they did not know exactly why tourism, went down in that area. Now, here's what the government did, and here is also this is very important, because journalists can learn something from this as well. So what the government did, the government of Thailand, from what I know, has 3 agencies that are focused on tourism. They are focused on bringing tourists here. They also are focused on making sure that the places where they're bringing tourists have the infrastructure in place. They're also making sure that there is marketing that's going out into the outside world about these tourist places. And they are empowering their small-scale, medium-scale businesses from the street food vendors down to those who have medium-sized shops, up to the owners of the big shopping centers. So what happened in that area? So tourism was down, and so this is what happened. This is what some of those government agencies did. They gathered some journalists from many different publications who were based in Bangkok, and then they flew them into that area that was having some tourism challenges. They flew them there. I think they gave them lodging and food. They toured them around the area. They showed them what was great, about the area. And then when they went back, their only job was to write everything that they saw. And a few weeks after that, the tourists came back. So you know what? That to me was a great example of nationalism, of people working together, the government working with agencies, with individual people, and with journalists, in order to get people back into the country, so that people from the street vendors can earn again, and the country earns from it in general and as a whole. That is nationalism. Now, all our business people in the country, in our country, in the Philippines. Okay, why won't you support Duterte? Because, okay, whatever happens, okay, after he's cleaned up the streets, there will be more for you. If he has cleaned up the streets, there will be more people who will come out, okay, and then look at your products and then maybe use your services because they're free to move around. It's safe. It's secure. When people have a higher buying capacity because there's more jobs, and because, okay, there's no contractualization anymore, and so therefore people have a more secure kind of work. So then that means that they have more buying power. So doesn't that affect in a very positive way the businesses that are going on in our country? So you know what? Okay, let's support this presidency because he is doing a lot of things that will affect every single person, every single Filipino individual, from the street vendor up to the medium scale businesses, up to those, okay, who own very big businesses. Okay, I have a shortage on my battery supply, so I'm gonna kind of stop here for a while. My mom is messaging me something. Okay, I will come back later and then maybe continue. There is something else that I would like to add to this about nationalism. There is a post on my Rice Filipino page on the wall that is asking, what to you is the true definition of nationalism? Because maybe we need to talk about that, and I am interested in what you think. All right, bye for now. See you later.